All right, so we're going to cover a few of the kind of most widely used bow backing materials out there, and the ones that I think are going to be your best option if you're trying to back up a bow at home. The kind of number one DIY and dirt cheap form is going to be a rawhide. Now, you can go get rawhide from an archery store. They'll have a nice roll of it. It'll be 2 inches wide, and all you have to do is just, get it to a state where it's moldable, which is you wet it. You then do coats of wood glue, and then you clamp it down and saran wrap it around so that way there's a nice, no, you wouldn't saran wrap it, sorry. You saran wrap it only if you epoxy. If you're using an epoxy to put your backing on, then you're gonna saran wrap it, because epoxy uses a heat source. So by wrapping it around, you're trapping that heat in there. This is going to kick off the curing process of the epoxy faster and make it a stronger bond. The hotter the epoxy can get during its cure, the stronger it will be. If you're using wood glue to put your rawhide backing on, you're going to want to make sure you don't use any kind of saran wrap, because wood glue, unlike epoxy, works on evaporation. It needs evaporation of the moisture in the glue being subtracted by the air to be able to actually cure and create that bond. Now, if you're using saran wrap, you're trapping all that moisture into the wood and into the glue. Now, if you don't want to go to an archery store and pay some overpriced for a roll of rawhide, one of the most common things I see a lot of guys out there doing is they go down to PetSmart or their local pet store, anything out there, and you're going to buy one of those giant rawhide bones. The nice 3-foot long ones that you see for like a Great Dane. And what you're going to do is you're just literally going to take that thing out of the wrapper and throw it into a tub of water. Start your bathtub and start it up. It's going to smell, so if you don't want your bathroom smelling like rawhide for a week or so, make sure you go and take it outside and maybe get a bucket. Some kind of home improvement places, they have those big tubs that go underneath the bed. You can put some water in that, put the rawhide in that, and inside of a garage. What that's going to allow you to do is the rawhide is going to be kind of mushy. It's not going to turn to like a pile of mush, but it's going to be flexible and moldable. And what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to untie that rawhide out of the bone knotted shape that it is, lay it out flat, and really just make it nice and flat. And by doing that, you're going to get somewhat same kind of rawhide that you got from the archery store. You're going to go about the same way of doing it. You might want to let it dry a little bit so it's not as soaking wet. Now, the other alternative, if you don't want to use a natural material like rawhide, is wall jointing tape. Now, that's the tape that you often see for carpenters and drywallers that use for finishing houses. They put the tape across a joint where the two pieces of drywall meet to kind of bond them. And it usually is fiberglass strands that are kind of cross-hatched into a lattice form. And what you're going to do is you can use the wood glue. You do a layer of wood glue on your bow limb. You're going to lay down a strip of this fiberglass. Make sure you put it down nice and tight. Let it dry. Then you're going to do another layer of glue, another layer of fiberglass tape. Let that dry. Another layer of glue, another layer of fiberglass tape. And what you want to do is eventually build it up to like 3 or 4 layers of this fiberglass tape. And that is going to be just as strong, if not a little bit stronger, than the rawhide. So those are kind of the 2 best forms of backing out there I've seen. They're the most widely used and the ones that seem to have lots of great reviews saying they've never had any issues with it, with other archers out there. So if you're trying to start building your bows and you need to back up your limbs, that's going to be your best option. Now, we're not going to get into too much backing up on ours, but if you're doing a long bow at home after this course and you want to try to add some extra strength, those are going to be your best bet.